Do you know when you get a bouquet of flowers or you're walking through a garden? So notice in your life whenever you've had that experience and you're just in awe. You're in awe of the way the flower looks. You're in awe of the way the flower smells. And notice if somebody ever gives you flowers. If you've ever received flowers in your life, or if you have been somebody who has given flowers, notice that feeling. Notice how seen you feel. Notice how beautiful they are. Notice that every single time, if you have a bouquet of flowers in your home or at your desk at work or anywhere, it stops you all day, every time, nonstop. So I'm sitting here and right in front of me, there's a beautiful bouquet. My cut flower garden isn't fully bloomed yet. And I went and I cut mint today and I added in one little bush of flowers. And I can't tell you how many times since I've done that, my eye, every time I enter into the room, goes straight towards those flowers. Notice how every single time we see a bouquet that somebody else has received, how we feel inside. How many times in your life have you seen somebody receive flowers and say, oh, that's so beautiful, but inside you want it to feel that way too? So look at what flowers are. They are beauty. They are joy. They are abundant and constantly regrowing, recreating. And notice when you plant a flower, you rarely have to wonder if it's going to grow. If the flower does not grow, do you blame the flower or the soil and the environment and the conditions in which it is? Let me repeat that. When you plant a flower and the flower does not grow, do you blame the flower? Or do you look at the soil, the conditions, and the environment in which it grows? So what we did not realize, and what is absolutely life-changing, is close your eyes right now for a moment with me and see a flower, whatever flower you see. See its colors, see its petals, see its stem, see its beautiful leaves, and then add in a beautiful bouquet. You're that flower and you're that bouquet. And for the first time ever in consciousness, we are remembering who we are, and it's all been activated. So if you look at a flower does not survive when it's left out of water. A flower loves sun. How many times have you heard people saying, I don't have a green thumb, I can't garden, I can't grow flowers, I can't. No, what is that? That is a story that they're telling themselves to prevent themselves from doing something. And then second of all, the frequency, the environment in which the flowers or the plants are living in is what's causing it not to grow. So look at your life, and I'll speak about me. I had this story. I could not grow, could not have plants. That's the story that I told myself. Forget it, Coco, you can't grow it, don't even try. Yeah, that was a fact. When I was upside down, when I was hustling, when I was motive driven, when I was wounded, when I was engulfed in everybody else's chaos and drama. And I was, if you would use the language, in a lower frequency. So if you look at plants and flowers, they operate at a high frequency. They sustain at a high frequency. You are that. You are that. So if you can understand what frequency is, I'm going to teach you and help you so you understand. Imagine a thermostat, okay? See a thermostat. And notice that it can go from 1 to 100, just so that you can understand that. Until you are aware, majority of us live from 0 to 10%. That is like freezing cold. That is very uncomfortable. The room is annoying. It's like you want to have 10 million sweaters on. The power keeps going out. It is a low, low, low frequency. So everything keeps glitching. Nothing wants to stabilize. Nothing wants to stay alive. Nothing can grow here. It's a constant battle to get this thermostat to stabilize. So it's like your power bills are high. Everything just is a battle, okay? You cannot figure out why. If you have plants, your plants, it doesn't matter how much plant food, it doesn't matter how much sun, it doesn't matter what you do, the plants are fucking pissed off. The plants are unhappy. The plants are screaming at you. Why are they screaming at you? They're telling you that your thermostat is 0 to 10. Now, is that something to beat yourself up about? Oh my God, I'm a low frequency, No, that is helping you understand yourself. That is helping you realize and learn so that you can see where you can be better and where you can understand yourself as a flower. So let's start there. Your frequency is at 0 to 10. How do you live? How do you sustain your flower? Are you constantly engulfed in all the things externally? Are you in gossip? Are you in drama? Are you living in fear? Fear is the number one supplier of the thermostat from 0 to 10. Fear. If you're living in fear, if you're living in doubt, if you're living in stories, you are living in that frequency and everything just feels hard. Everything just feels loud. You are just surviving. You are the plant that is constantly going to the plant store, the pharmacy, the doctor, and being like, oh, I'm sick. Oh, I can't get it together. You're seeking outside of you. And then what eventually happens is something turns on. Okay, so imagine you're a flower, you're a seed, you're underneath the ground, and all of a sudden something turns on. That is your DNA. Okay, your DNA. Your DNA turned on previously, last week. Okay, I've already talked about this in a whole other video, but whenever you listen to this, just know that your DNA has now turned on. So everybody alive, if you look at it, their roots have all of a sudden started like turning on, and they're like sparkly, and they're like, oh my goodness, and your DNA of your flower has turned on. You cannot stop this. You cannot prevent this. The frequency of the world has allowed for this to happen, and somewhere outside of you and I looking at each other, you raised your hand to vote for this to happen so that we as humanity can move forward into the joy, the abundance, the freedom, into the self-reflection, responsibility, and accountability of what it means to be a light in this body of form, aka a flower. So your roots, they're sparking. They're turning on. As I've talked about it, your flower was upside down with its roots in the fucking air, and now your roots are planted in the soil and they're sparking. As this starts to happen, everyone is having a firing inside of them, okay? Firing, noticing it. The first thing that's happening and how that presents to people is this. I'm going to blame, I'm going to hate, I'm going to be pissed off. I'm going to just literally freak the fuck out in the thermostat levels of 0 to 10. I'm going to create more chaos. All of a sudden, it kind of looks like you're like a gerbil or like a rat or something that's all of a sudden like burrowing underground, and you're just causing chaos. A gopher. So you're a gopher, and all of a sudden you're like just digging in the holes, and you're like, I'm gonna go fuck these flowers up. I'm pissed off. That's how the energy feels for a lot of the world right now. Let's get these gophers in here. Let's try and eat at these roots. Let's kill these flowers. This can't happen. Let's blame, let's hate. Let's do all this to avoid that this is happening. So the opposite of, the higher frequencies is this 0 to 10 frequency that you're going to see a lot of this happening, where people are blaming, projecting, hating, mad, all the things, pointing the fingers. Okay? You might even be one of those people that is like so annoyed and pissed off and frustrated, and you can't figure out why. It's because the sparks in your roots are going off, and for the first time, you're seeing the sky. You're seeing the sun. Now, what happens when you see the sun for the first time? It's like the song, I'm blinded by the light. The light has now hit you, and you don't know what to do with it. So what do you do with that? You do what you always do. Freak the fuck out, cause drama, have chaos, live in your ass, your roots up in the sky, and your blooms down in the dirt, because that's comfortable. That's comfortable. It's easy. It's knowing. But it's not going to feel good at all anymore, because you cannot sustain yourself that way anymore. Why? Because if you imagine the entire world as a garden, okay? The entire world, the whole planet, every single person that you know is in a garden. That garden used to just be the garden. There was no sprouts, there was no blooms, there was no flower. There was the odd, okay? The odd flower in maybe your town, maybe your school, maybe your workplace. And I mean the odd flower that would come up for a period of time, and they would be on that thermostat from 0 to 10, and they might be at 50 or 75. And so you will notice in your life when you met a flower, because you felt it, you felt their radiance, you felt their beauty. They felt like the bouquet of flowers that I talked about. They just did something for you. You felt seen, you felt loved. Just everything about them did something to you. And previously in this planet, in our life, those flowers that were at those higher frequencies on that thermostat would only be there for pockets throughout their days and lives, because it was so hard to sustain. The consciousness wasn't at that level. Humanity wasn't at that level, and everybody below them in frequency wanted to be the gerbil and pull them down and pull them down and pull them down. And you can see that and how that's been playing out for years and years and years, has it not? The second that somebody is doing something that you might deem, or the world might deem, better or famous or successful or whatever, it's like you literally take that bouquet of flowers, or that flower, and you pick it and you throw it and you step all over it. What is that? Jealousy, greed, and competition. It literally is the fuel of the lower floors, 0 to 10. Because then 0 to 10 does not have to do this. Hey, it's me, I'm the problem. And you get to look at yourself, and you get to take that radical responsibility and accountability. That is the world that we are now in, is self-ownership. And it's not this big, scary, and hard thing. Why? Because here's the thing. We were all born into humanity's garden as seeds that were manipulated, okay? How many times in your life and in your day, all of a sudden you're like, I'm talking like my mom. I feel like my dad, my sister, my brother, my partner, my mother-in-law. Oh my goodness, I'm my mother-in-law. It's all energy, and it comes through your seed, okay? So your seed, when you were born into this body of form, see, your seed was in a garden, okay? It was in this soil that had no real flowers like I just shared, and it just had seeds. Okay? Because this planet did not want you to remember that you were a flower. No, 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 no. We don't want to remember that. Don't remember. So you live underground, and the second you'd sprout, the second you believe in yourself, the second you trust yourself, the second you would go beyond what the voice in your head, the program told you, you would be pushed back down into the garden, pushed into line, and you need to follow that. Okay? That also was where your seed, if you can imagine it, just so you can understand yourself, your seed was split in half. Okay, maybe it was split in 4, maybe it was split in 2, however you're seeing it right now. And then your seed, if it was split in half of that seed went to your lineage of your mom. Okay, so your mom, your grandma's mom, the whole lineage on that side is your DNA. So you, all of the sudden, somewhere in the ruler of your life from 0 to whatever age you are now, all of your mom and all of that lineage dumped into you, and you started making decisions. You started having feelings. You started having emotions. You started making choices that were not you. That were not you. And then all of the sudden, at some point, that seed manipulation also could dump in from your father's side, which is your body, your cellular, and you're like, what the fuck? I actually don't even know who I am. And then you get married, and then you have a partner, whatever the case may be to specific to you. And then that creates seed manipulation because you don't understand you yet. So if you ask a lot of people alive on this planet right now, why'd you get married and why'd you have kids? Most people can say, well, I love that person or I wanted to have kids, but they can't go past that. Because the decision, and it's not wrong, and nobody's saying it's wrong, it's just to help you understand yourself and where you got to and why you don't know who you are, is those decisions were made from your seed manipulation. It is not bad. It is not anything. It just is. We're all a part of this. And now we're cleaning up from this. We're freeing our seed manipulation so that we can be ourselves. So you know how you have, maybe started and stopped a million trillion things? Do you know how, like, when you're sitting around with a glass of wine with friends and you're like, well, if we had $1 million, this is what we would do, or I have such a great idea, or I want to do X, Y, and Z. Or I can speak from my own experience. I built a fashion company. I did all these things, but it was never good enough. It was never, never the ceiling, no matter the dollar amount, no matter how much I made, no matter how much I did. And I could not figure out what the fuck was wrong with me and why I was having, the external success. I was building and making amazing things, but it felt so hard. It felt so hard. And then I would sit on, Instagram and social media and glorify busy, glorify hard, because that's what you do when you live in the garden as a root and a seed. It is mind-blowing to even remotely conceptualize, or even you can't even compute that you could have those things and that it would be easy, just like a flower plants its seeds, blooms, finds the sun, opens up and is so beautiful, and then it cuts, it creates joy, it's a bouquet, and it just repeats that cycle over and over again. Everywhere that flower goes, it has an impact, it has a feeling. What? I know you're sitting there being like, how is this possible? I need to pay bills, I need to do this, I need to do that. Yeah, I get it. Because when you live on floor, thermostat, 0 to 10, everything goes like this. You're just in fear, you're just in doubt, you're in hesitancy. And then if you can't even understand that, then you live from victim, rescuer, abuser. Everything is everybody outside of you is the problem as to why you suck, why your life isn't happening. All the narrations, you just believe them to be. You just believe them to be. Because you're looking this way, you're looking that way, and you cannot even conceptualize, but you feel it if you looked up. Because you're never, ever shown by example of what a life looks like if you look up. And you raise your consciousness. You remove the program. You remove the centipede. You understand your wounds and you change your freaking life. Not only do you change your life, that's obvious. Cool. Externally, you change your life. That happens. But what really happens is you remember who you are and you have this internal peace as the flower that you are to live in the soil and thrive. Now, what you need to understand, okay, you're saying to me, how does this happen? How do I get out of 0 to 10? I get it. I see it. Yeah. And I just want to make note of that. We all know we're fucked. Like, we all know. We might lie. We might sugarcoat it. We might fake it till we make it. But we all know we're fucked in the sense that we all know that there's something that's not right, that we've built lives, that we're chasing things, that we're doing stuff that we don't even know why. And then we all have our stories. We all have our traumas. We all have our quote unquote diseases. We all have our sicknesses. We all have our whatevers. It's not a surprise. What is a surprise in what is hard to understand until you actually raise your frequencies change is you don't need the pills, the vitamins, the anything, the whatever. You literally, like a flower, can self-sustain when you're in the right soil. You're getting the sun, you have the moon, you have the star, and the biggest thing that is plant food, joy and creativity. That will sustain you. That will do everything for you if you have joy and creativity with zero motive, zero attachment to anything, but just pure bliss and joy. And let me tell you, nothing hurts me more and makes my life work mean more than the amount of people that I have asked, what brings you joy? What do you love to do creatively? And the answer 90% of the time, people look right at me and they say, Coco, I don't know. I don't know what I like. I don't know what brings me joy. And just feel those words. How did we fucking get here? When you ask another being, what brings you joy? What brings you creativity? What fires you the fuck up? And we're not talking about have to, should to, need tos. We're talking about you go and you do something because it actually brings you joy. Or you do something with your hands, creative. You bake, you cook, you draw, you paint, you sew, you garden, you massage, you do hair. Like, what fires you up? And if you look at, and I'm just going to use North America as an example because that's where I'm from and I can speak to it. And now living in Europe and seeing the contrast. North America is literally, we are told and sold to lose all of our joy, all of our creativeness, all of our bliss, and we're literally live a life that literally exonates that zeroes it out, that removes it from our state of being. We do things to try and sustain our flower. We're not doing things we're doing things to try and cope. We're not doing things to sustain our flower. So take that in. Look at the average life in, say, North America. It's like you get up, you clock in, you do your 8-hour day, you go to the gym morning or night, you schedule in everything with your friends, you're hustling, you're on your phone, you're intaking, you're shopping, you're constantly shopping, you're constantly being entertained, you're constantly seeking, you're bombarded with advertisements, should be's, every time you open up your phone, it's like, buy this shirt, do this, do that. You just feel constantly stimulated with things outside of you to help you cope with being underground. It's like you have to literally, make an effort to go to the mountains, to go outside, to do these things. You have to literally cater your life, like shape your life to fit those things in. You have to shape your life to fit those things in. Feel that. And we think that that's okay. And we've lived our whole lives this way. And then when we see anyone doing anything opposite of that, okay? Anything, like they quit their job, they're traveling, they're out in the sun, they're taking less money, they're doing all the things. Because we need to obviously live in density. Nobody's saying that you're not, and you need to pay your bills and all the things, but you can do it from the place of the higher frequencies where you're not so in fear, where you're not so scared, where you're not constantly making choices from your seed manipulation, and you're doing it because it's the right thing to do. It brings you freaking joy. You're finding yourself in the experiences versus of it being something fucking hard and outside of you to cope. Who would you be? Who would you be if you knew who you were and you weren't trying to cope with being underground? Who would you be if you had $1 million, if you had $70 million? Who would you be and what would you do? Be that now. Be that now. And I get it. When I gave up my old life, this was one of my teachings that was coming through me, is embody like you have $70 million now. And I remember literally bawling to Skylar at the kitchen counter being like, this is fucked. Who would do this? How can you embody this? We can't even eat X, Y, and Z, all the things. But I took that and I did the work to raise myself out of 0 and 10 because I knew I couldn't live that way anymore. And I knew that there had to be a better way to live, and the intent of how to live and the choices that could be made as a flower that had $70 million. My life wouldn't fucking change now. Not an ounce of me would change if I had $70 million. And I know that's hard to believe when you live underneath the ground, because we are so programmed that we need all of that stuff and we need everything for ourselves to be happy and our life to be good. Because we forgot. We have no joy. We have no creativity when we live underneath the ground. So of course we need $70 million to supposedly raise our fucking frequency, to change our life, to do all these things. You see it all over on Instagram. You see it all over with these online coaches and all the things. It's like, I'll help you make your first million. I'll help you do this. I'll help you do that. And then what? And then what? Because they're not even embodying it. They're not living as a flower. They don't even understand. They're just using law of attraction, which honestly, this has been a topic of conversation around here, and I just absolutely love it. What is law of attraction? You understand the basics of energy, whether you consciously know or not. So you're calling in everything to you. So if you look at it, If you look online or even on YouTube right now, look at a lot of them. They're showing their lifestyles. They're showing this. They're making a promise. They're doing all that. That's energy. That's energy. That energy is literally being pushed out to you. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm fucking in 0 to 10. I'm desperate. I'm in fear. I feel all these things. Okay, I'm going to pull that in. I'm going to do that, and they're pulling it in. Instead of, okay, I'm watching this YouTube video, for example. I don't give a fuck. Work with me, don't work with me. I'm not here to sell to you. I'm not here to call anything in. I'm just being me as the example for you to see that there's a better way to live. Yeah, if you want to change your life, if you want to understand yourself, if you want to reverse your seed manipulation, if you want to move up super fast out of your fucking thermostat, great. Send me an email. Otherwise, don't care, because my life is not rooted in 0 to 10 floor. I don't need you, just like you don't need me. We're just better together if we find each other. Where's that? What happened to that? Hey, I have, flour and you have some sugar. Let's make a trade. Let's sell it to each other and we're better together. Now I can learn how to make bread, or I can learn how to make cookies. Versus, hey, I got something you want. I'm going to sell it to you so that you can still live in lack. You can still live in fucking fear. And I'm going to benefit. All of that has taken away from the beauty, the joy, the creativity, and the truth of who we are. Is taking it all away. But now we get to bring it back. You get to bring it back by just understanding who you are. So as you can see, so many people alive right now. It's like a big freaking explosion. And again, everybody needs their gateways. Everybody needs, if you operate on number 2 on the thermostat, you're going to maybe meet somebody that's going to help you get to 5 to 10. Everybody needs their gateways. There's no knocking it. It's whatever. But truth is truth. People tend to stay in the 0 to 10, or they get to 11 and then they start feeling good. So they're like, I'm good. And they never move up. They can't sustain it. So they're still spinning left and right, and they're not holding their bloom. They're not manifesting from the inside out. It's all external. It's all words. It's all talking. But they still feel the same way, and their life still is the same way. Why? Because they don't understand themselves internally to then just apply consciousness. How do you move up in the thermostat? How do you get higher? Is you understand yourself. Energetically, you are able to move through this. In my world, through imagery, because imagery knocks out and closes out the program. The program cannot touch imagery. It does not know what to do with imagery. So as you can see, when I talk to you, I give you a lot of imagery. Why? That knocks out the program. And this whole time that you're with me, I'm removing the program so that you can be present and feel your seed and do something about it. That's why I'm alive right now. That's what I'm helping people remember. That's what I'm teaching you to do so that you can do it yourself. So that when you walk into a room, you're the flower. You have the same impact that the flowers have on you. So when you sit in your life and you're like, what the fuck am I here to do? I feel like I have no impact. I'm just a mom, or I'm just a teacher, or I'm just a cleaner, or I'm just a CEO. I'm just this, I'm just that. Where does your impact lie? In your energy. Energy does not lie. You cannot duplicate it. You cannot replace it. It is something that is felt. just like the flowers. When you get the bouquet, when you walk into the room, the flowers don't speak to you. They're not opening up their mouth and talking. You just feel them. You just feel them. So you want to know why it feels like our dreams have been dying? Because they literally have been. They literally have been until now, because so many of us have said yes. And if you look at humanity's thermostat, it has now went like this, and it's just shooting like a beautiful volcano. Imagine it like it's at 100, okay? It's fucking hot in here. And that is the most amazing thing, because humanity, behind the scenes, the air in which you breathe, the frequency in which we're living, beyond this body of form, has skyrocket consciousness, said yes, done the votes, done all the things, and now we, in density, can do the cleanup to what's already been done behind the scenes. Okay? It's done. It's done. It's just gonna take a minute for humanity, you, whoever it is, to catch up to what is happening. We're right on time. We have the information. I'm here to help you understand. So the very first thing to help you start moving out of 0 and 10, the very first thing is accept it. Accept that that's how you live. Accept that you got here. Accept that, you made choices that you just didn't know. Cool. Then you start to understand the imagery that you're a flower, okay? And the feeling of you as a flower and how you want to live as a flower and how that looks as a relationship, connections, friendships, whatever, because we're here to understand ourselves now so that we can coexist in a garden with our husband, our wives, our partners, our girlfriends, our friends, and we understand ourselves, and we're not trying to sustain off them. They're not trying to sustain off us. We just all coexist together because we understand ourselves. But because we're wounded, because we have our seed manipulation, because we don't fucking understand energy or even remotely even want to look at the fact that we're light and energy, we have a mess that we need to work on to be able to clean up. And we can do it faster than ever before because the thermostat of humanity is high. So imagine it. It's like that, is it Bette Midler song? The wind beneath your wings. We got some wind beneath our wings to make us fly, to get us to understand ourselves even more and even faster. But it takes wanting to look at ourselves versus putting our head, under the sheets and crying and wanting to blame everybody else. That is how simple it is now. And here's the thing. We are so obsessed and addicted to analyzing things, to literally thinking, connecting the dots, constantly sitting in the past, constantly going all over it. Forget it. It literally doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't. We know that you had your traumas. We know that shit happened. You can feel it. You know it. Do you want to talk about it? You don't need to. You can remove it energetically. When you understand yourself and how to do that, all you need to do is understand yourself as the flower, because you can self-heal, self-repair, self-sustain, and also bloom and become a creator and create a life that you couldn't even imagine. Now, the world as a whole right now is cluing into the fact that we're flowers. So there's a lot of people out there, and I had to walk this to get here. When I started 5 years ago and started to remember who I was, I literally walked the back end of all of this to be able to teach on it, to be able to understand it, and to be able to embody life as a flower. You got anything you want to talk to me about? I got an answer for you, or I can find the answer because I've probably already walked it. So in the back end of everything, in the back end of all of this, there's so many people that can fix you. Okay? They can. I'm one of them. If I if you ask me to. I have so many stories. People couldn't walk, people had cancers, people had HIV, people had brain tumors, bipolar, all the things. Me and the people alongside of me were able to go in. So imagine this, you're a flower, okay? And you could come and you could have a session and you could see me previously, and I could look and I could repair. And I did. Miracles happened every day for years and years and years. I could repair. And I would teach you and I would tell you, I would guide you all the things that you could do to keep moving forward. So I would go in and I would repair, and then I would mentor you on how to sustain that repair. Now, the people who have been around and doing work for years and years and years are literally walking and living proof of me repairing, people next to me repairing, and then now them sustaining. And now everybody else gets to just come in and do it themselves and sustain right off the hop. I don't have to do it. Why did I have to do it before? To understand the world that is doing that now and be able to teach and mentor on it so that we can get out of that loop of other people doing it for you and teaching you how to do it yourself. Because people want to be saved. People want to be saved. And granted, it's easier that way, isn't it? It's easier to have a martyr, to have a healer, to have somebody outside of you that is going to save you than to actually believe in the truth of you, the light that you are, the infinite being that you are, the flower that can grow and cut itself over and over again and literally do miracles. It's easier to say that I'm the one doing it for you, because then this is where shit just gets messy, and this is what you're seeing in the world. It's easier for you to say, I healed you. It's easier for you to say that I repaired you. It's easier for you to say Coco this, Coco that, because then you don't have to fucking look at yourself. So when it doesn't work or things fucking fall apart because you're still living in floor 0 to 10 on the thermostat, then we can blame the healer. We can blame Coco. We can blame the program loves to blame. The program lives on 0 to 10 because you don't have to fucking look at yourself to see where you are the one that is in charge of your flower and your flower's health. So now what's so exciting about this time is I'm not fucking touching anybody and I'm not fixing anybody. I am fucking guiding you. I know how. Oh yeah, I could fucking do that all day to Tuesday from morning till night, and I could be famous and I could be wealthy and all that could have been my trajectory. But I chose the integrity of which we are, which is to be the example and to teach you how to do it yourself. Because that is what this planet is. That is what we need. You don't need somebody to fucking tell you how to garden. You need somebody to teach you. You need somebody to guide you. You need somebody to be the example. And you don't need somebody to fucking fix you because you're not broken. You're not broken. You just forgot who you were. And now you get to remember who you are. So yeah, have your experiences, find your people, do whatever. But when you're ready to actually own it and actually fucking be in charge of your own life, your own journey, and understand all that, you'll find people like me and the people beside me that are here to teach you. Because here's the thing, we're here to live. We're here to live, but we're here to live consciously. We're here to live from the truth and integrity of which we are, and we're here to embody that. So you're not going to isolate. You're not going to, go off and live in a forest somewhere, because what does that do for you? Because you won't even be able to deal with your seed manipulation because you have no one to have experiences with to face those things, to, transmute them, to move through them so that you can be this radiant flower. So what you need to understand is when you live in the lower part of the thermostat, you can see it. You're a flower and you have aphids, you have bugs, you have flies, and everything is all around you. That's what I was saying, that everything's bombarding you. Everything's bombarding you. You have to learn how to remove that so that your flower can grow, charge up, and sustain and feel unreal. And that comes from understanding yourself, understanding your whys, understanding your wounds. Wounds is everything. Everybody has their wounds: self-worth, rejection, or abandonment. You either have one of the two. Period. End scene. When you understand that, then you're able to know your why, and everything changes for you because you start to take ownership of your own life and learn how to embody that. You learn how to become the creator of your life. You learn how to be a cut flower garden that cuts the bouquet, cuts the flower, and then regrows overnight. And you sustain that. So if you look at what's going on in the world, everybody, seriously, everybody, and I don't even look at a lot of stuff. I don't intake very much anything, but I know it from hearing from other people that everybody is selling. Everybody is the next thing. Everybody is doing this, but very few are living it, truly living it. Very few are truly embodying it. And that's fine, but you will know the difference because you feel like a bouquet of flowers when you're around the people who are truly embodying it. Because why do you have that feeling? Because it's you. Because it's you. You are a bouquet of flowers. You are a flower. You just need to do the cleanup now for the soil in which you were born into. It is not hard. It is not scary. You just have to take the step forward to do it, to believe in yourself, and it comes with acceptance. It comes with laughing at yourself. It comes with smiling. It comes with giggling. It comes with joy. It comes with creativity. And I know, I get it. When you're fucking low and you're going through it, and everybody has different things, abuse and deaths and trauma and all that, and I get it. When that shit is fucking eating you alive, it is so hard to find that joy, that creativity, that other side, we'll call it that way. That is why you have hands to hold in people like me, in people beside me, in examples, in this wisdom, in this knowledge, this moment that you're sharing with me. You're outside of the program and you feel it. You feel it. That is why. Because in these moments, how would you live when you're not being attacked by everything that's trying to stop you from living, from being, from dreaming, from creating? We have moved into the age, the time, the period of our lives of consciousness, of every timeline put together into one that we said we would. We're here, but we've got to clean up. And that comes with every single person owning it within themselves. Cool. I see it, Coco. I was born into this garden. And my seeds manipulate it. I see aspects of it. I'm piecing it together here. And then you begin to do the one thing that was taken away from all of us. And you begin to feel. You begin to live from here and everything that you feel versus up here. That's noisy, that's loud, that's thinking. We cannot think moving forward, and your life will feel hard if you do. You have to learn again how to feel if you don't. And what does feeling feel like, you ask me? How I open this all up. When you look at that bouquet of flowers, when someone randomly is walking down the street and hands you a bouquet of flowers, it doesn't matter who you are, how do you feel? And if you're a man who maybe feels awkward receiving a bouquet of flowers and you got that bouquet of flowers for free, but then you have that feeling being like, wow, if I bring this home to my partner, the joy that this is going to bring. You know that. You know what that feels like. That's where we're going. So ask yourself, if you don't feel that way, why not? If you don't live that way, why not? And if you know that you live in that hard part of the thermostat, the only way to get out of that is up. And the only way to understand that is the acceptance of that of what you are, which is a light in this body of form, and you can see it as the truth of you as a flower.